How you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as the Retail Trader. So go ahead and shoot this out to you real quick. We're going to talk about the trick world, it's economic warfare, and you're paying the cost. And so to give you a heads up, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in this video is just going to be my commentary. It's going to be based on my life experience and really me trying to help people get an understanding, because it's not about you not making the mistakes I made. It's about you understanding where I'm currently at and saying, okay, well, this is where this person is currently at. How can I use where this person is at to optimize and improve my life? Because I may have been through some things that you may not have been through yet. And so what I want you to understand is some of the things that can be coming towards you kind of based on how life may work if you decide to make different decisions, or maybe based on how you're currently at. And so one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because we're watching this particular Twitter post, and the guy talks about biggest regret in life at 37 is not seeking a serious relationship younger. A lot of younger guys getting told to run around, chase women, and you being told, well, you got plenty of time. You don't, life is short. I 100% believe in that, right? We as a society start programming young boys at a really, really young age that they should be concerned with chasing women. And then we also tell women that their self-esteem should kind of be based on how much men chase them, and that they can determine a man's intent by how he goes after them, right? Which is not always accurate, but that's what they've been programmed. So we tell men that you should be concerned with chasing after women, right? That's what you should be concerned with. And then we tell women that a man's intent for you is the intensity in which he chases after you, right? And then we ascribe that this is masculine, this is feminine, but in other situations, it's different. But just for these type of kind of relationship dynamics, that's kind of what a lot of people have been programmed to do. So people play it out over the course of their life. So a lot of younger men feel like if I'm just chasing after women, I'm doing what society expects me to be doing, right? And so even though they're not fulfilled, even though they may not enjoy it, even though they may not be good at it, that's what society tells them to do. And then people build verticals off of it. And that's not my commentary, that is fact. You do have the whole pickup artist space where they say, you know what? We're going to build a vertical to teach men how to say these lines to get women, not to get married, but just to get women. So they built whole verticals off of that. That's not my commentary. That's a fact. They even had a reality show based around this type of stuff. And it was a big reality show. And a lot of those guys was on the internet at one time on YouTube, and then they transitioned the pickup artist space into like the red pill space. It was just a transition. A lot of this is really just a trick world. It really is, because many of us, male and female, you've been conditioned at a very young age to be a trick because why? It's profitable. People can build verticals off of you being a trick. It's the easiest way for them to make money off of you. And so if you decide not to participate in it, you're going to stand apart from the majority of the world. And even people that claim that they're not, worldly are still going to have a problem with you because you're not involved in the trick world. And we're going to kind of get a little bit into that. So that's why I want to do this particular video. I have a nephew that is 21 years old now. I've already talked to him about what type of women he should look for. Most likely he's going to go to school. He's going to go to grad school for his degree. But I already told him you need to start asking yourself, what type of woman will work best for the lifestyle that you want to have in your profession? And I've already talked to him about that. Don't wait until you think you need to have everything, because what we've taught a lot of men, which is false, is that you need to have all this stuff already in order before you start looking for a woman. And we've taught women the same thing. So what we've done now is we've extended people now looking to get partners because they believe that I got to have all this. And the woman also believes that you need to have it all. Nobody knows how to get with somebody and y'all get it together. They have no idea how to do it. And here's something else people don't want to accept. And a lot of this comes from social media and the internet. The person for you and the life for you is your life. You need to thank God that you got your health. You need to thank God that your children are healthy, right? You need to thank God that you live in a relatively safe area. You shouldn't be looking at nobody else's life. And that's what's messed up a lot of people. I would not be here today if my grandparents looked at other people's lives before they got married. I wouldn't be here because they didn't start with a lot. They didn't. I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing right now today if my grandparents looked at other people's lives before they determined who they was going to marry. They would have never done it. Right? Because my grandfather was a janitor and my grandmother worked at Marston's. Right? And then my other grandfather, even though he had a machinist degree, he couldn't get a job because he was locked out the union. So he went and worked at the post office and delivered papers. And my grandmother was a nurse. And they was looking at other people's lives and determining, well, I want their life. So I'm going to wait because I want their life. They would have never got married. I wouldn't be right here right now doing what I'm doing today. Right. So what we messed up is giving people exposure to so many other people's lives. When I was coming up, you rarely saw other people's lives unless it was like in Hollywood. You saw the lives of the people around you. So I grew up in a working class Black community. That's what I saw. I saw people waking up every day and going to work. So that was normal to me. I wasn't worrying about what some Anglos was doing in College Park. I wasn't worried about what Michael Jackson was doing down at the Polynesian at Disney, whatever he was doing, because I couldn't see it. So the only time I really got to saw what like really, really high level people were doing was when I watched like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And what I'm not saying is that you shouldn't expose yourself to different environments. What I'm saying is that many people, many times you're looking at somebody else because you want what they got. And you really need to understand the person God got for you and the life God got for you, that's your situation. You shouldn't look at nobody else's situation. But many of you are being told you should want somebody else's situation. You can't have my situation. You can have your situation. But what I can teach you is how to optimize some parts of your life. But you don't want my situation because you can't take it. Right? A lot of y'all can't take what I went through to get to where I'm at. You can't handle it. You might have crashed out. I didn't. You might have ended up dead. I didn't. You might have ended up in prison. I didn't. So you don't know how I got what I got. You don't know. What I'm trying to do is help you get something and you not have to go through what I went through. And so that's one of the downturns we have in this world now, where everybody's looking at somebody else and they're saying to themselves, well, if this person can't help me get what this other person got, I don't want to deal with them. So they're always extending when they do something. But I wouldn't be here today if my grandparents did that because they didn't have nothing. But they weren't playing the comparison game. Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't aspire to have more. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look to expand your horizons. I didn't say that. Right? So don't say I said that. What I'm saying is that this idea to where I don't want to deal with another person because they can't help me get somebody else's life. It makes everybody think I got to be at this elite level just to start getting serious about. They telling dudes on the internet you shouldn't look to get married until you in your 40s. Why? My grandparents didn't get married in their 40s. Everything's way more expensive now. Well, everything's way more expensive than what my grandparents bought. My grandparents bought a house. They weren't paying in comparison or a proportion to their income. The mortgages weren't like they are now. So why wait that long, right? Why wait that long before you do something? Like, who does it benefit? It only benefits a person telling you that. Or a person need to be making 6 figures before they're acceptable. This is foolishness. Well, you should always look to marry up, right? Well, most of y'all don't make no money. So if somebody makes $5,000 more than you, you marrying up. But no, you need to be marrying somebody that makes double what you make. Like, this is foolishness. This is keeping people by themselves, which is benefiting these people's verticals. We're going to talk about that. So I've already told my nephew right now, he's 21 years old. You need to start thinking about the type of woman you want to marry. Because you know you want to get a graduate degree. You know what fields you want to work in. What kind of person works best for what you're trying to do. Don't wait. Don't make yourself feel like I got to be 35, 40 years old with a house and 2 cars and yada, yada, yada to get what I want to get. Don't do that. Right? Find somebody that's going to want to work with you where you currently at and they want to partner with you. And I know what kind of woman he's going to go after because I know who his mama is and she 100% about her family. So that has been his example. Is a woman that's 100% about her family, right? Not worrying about what's on social media, not worrying about the he say, she say. She don't even entertain it. She worry about her family. That's why them kids in the position that they in because they mama focused on them. She won't worry about the rest of the stuff, right? So that's why I say a lot of y'all is really tripping because I know a lot of y'all got kids, but you worry about everything else but what your kids got going on, right? So that's what I want you to understand. That's what we're going to lead off with. So we're going to do the sponsor of the show and then we're going to get into the content real quick.
Here is a testimonial for the highest paid part-time job in the world from Katrina Alexander.
So I'm approaching 3 years in this academy. All of my accounts have increased trading, investments, business, and personal accounts. This academy can produce results in all areas of your life when you do the work. Yes, you have to work on your psychology and mindset to get the results.
Okay, so heads up. The legacy courses for the highest paid part-time job in the world, give you a heads up. They're no longer going to be for sale on January 1st, 2026. So if you thought about getting them, go ahead and make a move on them. Do what you got to do. You got between now and January 1st, 2026. You're getting ready to move into a different direction. They may come back on sale, but from January 1st to whenever I decide to bring them back on sale, they're not going to be open to the public. If you in them, you're going to be good, but we're not going to bring in no new people because we're going to start moving things in a different direction. Okay, so let me show you something real quick. This is a study done by the American Community Survey. Pew published it, and I posted this on my social. So black men in the U.S. are more likely than black women to be married, right? So just based on percentage, black men in the United States are more likely to be married than black women. Now, that's not the narrative that we're getting on the internet. So I did want to give you some actual facts before we just get into my own opinion and, you know, my point of view, yada, 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 because I don't really want that type of channel. But it is actually true, right? Based on this particular study, this survey, this particular compilation of data, that black men inside the United States are more likely than black women to be married. Now, that's not the narrative. You're getting the narrative about, you know, there are no good men because everybody in prison, this, that, and the third. That's what you're getting, but that's not actually true. That's just the internet. Because I never heard that growing up. Nobody ever told me that growing up. I didn't start hearing that till people start trying to sell books and do relationship podcasts and do relationship conferences. So now they got to create a problem so they can come up with the solution. Okay, but this is what we're seeing on the internet. So you type into YouTube, right, and you get black women are not wives by this dude. Black women prove why most men don't marry them. Black men are not marriage material by this woman. This guy, why black men are not marrying black women, that's not true. He does what he does. These guys hardly initiated, right? Why black men don't want to get married at them, put out by this woman who's a dating coach, right? Because, you know, everybody's a coach in relationships, right? So you get all this content based around black people and relationships, but none of it is factual. It's just people making up stuff. Okay. Then we go to the YouTube side, and not the YouTube side, but you just go to a general video search, and you got all these black people at least married. The reason why black men are not getting married, why black men are not getting married by this guy, that's his specialty. Why black women are scared to get married. Black women prove why most men won't marry them. Everybody produces all this content, but the data shows that black men are getting married, but also black women are getting married. And at the same time, black men and black women marry each other the majority of the time. That's what the actual data is showing us. So yeah, in relationship to other groups, we aren't married at the same percentage, but it's not like black people are not getting married. But if you just listen to this type of stuff all day, so here's the question. Let me ask you a question. If somebody asked me, how come the Chicago Bulls did not win 6 championships in the 90s? Why would I make a video on that? I'm going to repeat myself. If somebody says, David, how come the Chicago Bulls did not win 6 championships in the 90s? Really late 80s, early 90s. Why would I make a video on that and explain why the Chicago Bulls did not win 6 championships late 80s, early 90s? Let me give you a specific date. If somebody says, David, how come the Chicago Bears did not win a Super Bowl in 1985? Why would I make a video talking about the Chicago Bulls? Here's the reason why the Chicago Bulls did not win the Super Bowl in 1985. Why would I not make a video on that? So I'm asking the question. So I'm asking the audience this. Make sure I frame this properly. Somebody says, David, can you make a video on why the Chicago Bulls did not win the Super Bowl in 1985? Why would I not make a video on why the Chicago Bulls did not win a Super Bowl in 1985? Why would I not do that? What's the number one reason why I wouldn't do that? See what I'm saying? So Black Bull, appreciate you participate because it's false. So what we have is we have a whole space that's a vertical. It's a business vertical now to create false stuff about relationships, but most importantly, in this particular situation, about Black relationships. Because it's false. So why would I repeat? Well, here's why most Black men don't want to get married. Well, that's false. It's false that most Black men don't want to get married. It's a falsehood. Right? But I make a video about it, then I use this to support my vertical around relationships. So this is going on all the time. So that's what I want you to understand is that this is why I talk to the young people in my family directly. And I don't let them fall victim to this stuff that's on the internet, because I know these people on the internet, a lot of them don't wish them no good. They're trying to vampire and vulture off the young people in my family. I know that for a fact. They don't care what happens to them as long as they have something. Right? Because we seen the trick sell all that content for years to women. and he didn't care what he was saying as long as he was in a mansion home and his kids could go to private school and he was able to trick off the way he wanted to trick off. He didn't care what he said, right? He didn't care what he told the women. And these women is taking this stuff back into the real world and dealing with real people about it. He don't care. He's still doing it right now today. He got no conviction around his behavior. He don't care. No conviction, right? He don't care. So because I know that there's these type of people out here, I'm not going to let the young people in my family fall victim to it. And I don't want an older person to fall victim to it. I don't want nobody to fall victim to it because it's false. I'm not going to make a video around the Chicago Bears not winning a Super Bowl in 1985 because they did win a Super Bowl in 1985. So why would I make a video around it? Unless I'm doing some type of alternative reality play, because we got that going on with people saying the world is flat and all kind of crazy stuff. So that's what I want you to understand. So we have to really realize what kind of world we're in, where we have whole verticals built around falsehoods. And people are being influenced by this and taking it back to people in the real world. Okay, so that's the title of the video. Trick world is economic warfare. You paying the cost if you get involved in it. So let me tell you something about me real quick. For me to be successful, I had to live a very, very structured life. Right? And I'm not the most organized person in the world. I'm not. But I've had to live a very structured life to get the level of success that I have because I'm self-employed. If I don't make money, I don't make money. I do not make money because I go punch somebody's clock. And I'm not down on nobody for doing that, but that's not how I make money. I have to actually figure out how to make money, and I got to be successful at it. And the difference between me and these people that we just talked about, I didn't make my money feeding my people rat poison. That's not how I make my money. I did not make my money feeding my people rat poison, right? That's not how I make my money. So I had to figure out how am I going to make my money? Because I have to make money, else I don't make no money. And can I do it without feeding my people rat poison? I had to figure that out. And it took a long time to figure that out. To me, it took a long time because I wanted it to take like a year, but it took longer than a year. And it took a lot of work, and it took me building out a lot of structure. So my life is very, very, very structured. Now, do I have times in my life in which I can go do what I want to do? Yes. Like 3 weeks ago, I took a vacation for like 3 or 4 days, went to Florida, just chilled out. And they got to ask nobody, can I do it? Right? I'm going to take vacations. We're getting ready to hit the end of the year. Right? Go see family. Don't have to put no time in with nobody asking, can I do it? But I had to pay for the ability to do that with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Right? This was not easy. There wasn't no cakewalk. Didn't nobody give me no clientele base. Didn't nobody give me no business. And I'm not mad at nobody if somebody did. I'm talking about didn't nobody do that for me. And there is not a man in my family, in the history of my family, since we left them plantations in South Carolina, since we left those plantations in Virginia, there is not a man in my family that's made more money than me. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I know where I come from. So there has not been a lot of people in my family that can really give me, in my family, that can give me business game. I had to go get that from other people because nobody has done what I've done. Like I told you, my grandfather was a janitor, right? My other grandfather, he was college educated, but he was not in business for himself. He worked for other people. So I had to figure a lot of stuff out by dealing with people, trial and error, making a lot of mistakes. And one thing I learned is I had to build a very, very structured life. So I want you to understand that because a lot of people, their life is working 9 to 5, come home, I got the rest of the day to myself. Then I wake up the next day and do the same thing again because they know how their money going to come in. I do not know how my money going to come in. My money comes in if I'm good at what I do, if I'm successful. But there is no guarantee I'm going to make any money doing anything. And again, I'm not feeding my people rat poison. So I got a much smaller audience because a lot of our people want rat poison. They love it, right? They love it. They love rat poison. So they're looking for rat poison every day. So because I'm not slinging rat poison, I got a much smaller audience of people I can deal with. And I still figured out how to make my money and build a lifestyle off of that. Because if I was slinging rat poison, I have a whole bunch of people on my live streams, right? Because I'm pushing rat poison every day. And our people love rat poison. That's why a lot of us in the position that we in, because we wake up every day looking for it. Right? So I had to build a very, very structured life, but I'm not the most organized person in the world. I'm not. But I've had to build structure. I talk about that on my Patreon. I had to learn how to frame, do learning blocks of myself, do work blocks. I had to learn all this stuff so I could be successful because ain't nobody coming in telling me what to do. I had to figure it out. Learn from other people, learn about marketing plans, learn about marketing schedules, things of that nature. I had to learn all this stuff so I can build out processes and systems to allow me to be successful. So I want you to understand that because what I want you to understand is this. The way I had to figure out how to be successful, puts me in opposition to other people. They don't understand this was the only way I was going to be successful, because nobody's giving me a check at the end of the week. That's not how my life works. My life doesn't work that way. I'm constantly doing something that is at risk to make money. Where it could work, it could not work. It could work, it could not work. Ain't no guarantees in this, right? So I was talking to, let me give an example. So I went and got a car. They gave me 2 keys, right, to the car, okay? One of the keys does all the operations. It's been programmed properly. The second key does not. They called me today and said, hey, we want to follow up on the car that you got. I said, everything's cool, but you gave me a second key where I can't use all the operations of the key because it has been programmed properly. So now I got to take the time to go back to y'all lot and to wait at the service center to get it programmed again. Okay, let me explain something to you. The person that dropped the ball on that, they don't lose their job and they don't lose no money. I got off the phone with that woman. She go to her next task, keep it pushing. She still get paid at the end of the week. It's whatever. In the business I'm in, if I'm not correct, I lose money. That's just how it works. Right? All that media stuff that y'all seen at the beginning, I paid for that. I paid bread for that. It didn't cost $10 neither. I paid for that. If this campaign don't work, I lose money. If I run a trade and that don't work, I lose money. If I do a marketing promotion and it don't work, I lose money. So I'm constantly putting stuff at risk. So I had to build out a structure around that so I can say, let me put myself in the best position to be successful. That don't work for everybody. So people have to understand that when you're dealing with people, they've had to, if they're having success, they had to build a formula for success around their life. Right? If you say you want a certain type of person, you need to understand their formula for success. A lot of people don't want to do that. What they want to do is they want you to do what they're doing. But what you're doing didn't allow me to have success. I had to build this. And I'm not making $1 million a year. Because again, I'm not feeding people rat poison. Right? So, and then I had to look at other people that wasn't feeding people rat poison and take stuff from them. That's why I study Erica. That's why I study by the hood, because they're not feeding people rat poison. Because they will be way bigger, especially Erica, if she decided she was going to feed y'all rat poison. Because you look at the one woman who I told y'all 4 years ago was unhinged. Now everybody's talking about how unhinged she is. But I told y'all 4 years ago that woman was unhinged. But she blew up being unhinged, though. Right? So that's what I want you to understand. I had to study other people and say, okay, let me take some of what they got. Let me take some of what they got. Study people like Dr. Chaz. Done spoke to people like Miss Alexander that got something to go. Let me take from what she got and build out my life and build out my program and build out my structure. That's what I had to do. But it is a structure. I do not just wake up in the morning and do whatever comes to my mind. I can't work that way because I won't get nothing done. I end up playing a video game all day and won't make no money and end up losing money. Right? That's just really how my life is. So I want you to understand that, because I think a lot of times, because, and we're going to get into this, you're dealing with people now because of this world later on in your life. You're not really taking into account what they've had to do to become successful. And especially if their success is outside or an outlier of the normal success. God has blessed me, right, immensely to make more money than the average person. But a lot of people don't know what come with that, and they don't know how I got here. It was not a cakewalk. Right? So that's what people have to understand. It was not a cakewalk. That nobody just give it to me. I worked very, very hard for it. And I had to pray really hard for it to put myself in a position to add enough value to enough people to bring in a certain amount of money. Because again, I'm not just showing up on here talking out the side of my neck and saying, hey, you know what's going to be the little hot topic? I'm not that unhinged chick that made a lot of money talking about black folk. Now she started talking about other people. They got a problem with it. She doing the same thing she did to black folks. But I told y'all that woman was unhinged. Now they starting to say it because they don't like how she talking now, because they realize they can't control her. So that's what I want you to understand. Some people have had to build a very structured life to have success, and you have to understand that when you're dealing with them. That's why I'm very respectful of what other people got going on, because I know what I had to build to get what I got. And I don't have half of what a lot of other people got. I ain't got nowhere near, but I know what I had to build just to get this little piece I got, right? Just to get it, because it had to be built from the ground up, right? I wish somebody would have just said, hey, I'm going to give you my whole book of business, and all you got to do is call them up. It didn't work that way for me. So here's what I want to ask you, right? Because I was having a conversation with somebody in my family, and they was talking about that somebody sent them a TikTok video, which is a Chinese intelligence operation. Now it's got to be a U.S. intelligence operation once Oracle and them buy it. And they said this person was talking about this man took her on a park date. And she didn't like the fact that he took her on a park date. And I told this person, I said, hey, that's just what's going on out here right now today. I told this person, you were very fortunate that you got married in the early 2000s because this is just what's out here right now. Right? You suggest going to a park and people look at you like you broke. And they was like, I would love to go to a park. I get to exercise and I get fresh air. But I'm like, yeah, you're abnormal compared to what's going on here. Now you got married a long time ago. This person's not old. They just got married real young. Right? They just got married real young. And so she was saying, well, I'm concerned about my son because this is what people are talking about. Like, this is what's out here. I say, yeah, it just is what it is. You just got to try to pray your way through it. Right? This narrative where the only way to build a relationship with someone is based on consuming, that's just the world we live in now. So you have to understand these are the dynamics going on. I live in a city. There's a few things to do. But once you run through all those things, ain't nothing else to do now but go to restaurants. I don't like restaurants because I know how to cook. But this is what you're faced with. Is just go to restaurants. So something that my mother taught me my father taught me too. My mother taught me when I was real young because I grew up doing chores is how to do household chores. So you're talking to somebody, right, that understands not only how to make my own money, not only how to support myself, been doing it forever. Right. I moved out of my parents' house when I was real young. I don't eat out all the time because I know how to cook. I know how to do my own laundry. I know how to clean my house. I'm not like a spick and span clean person, but I'm definitely not a pack rat. I'm definitely not a hoarder. Right. And I definitely will clean because I came up, you had to clean. You couldn't just keep stuff dirty. Right. Know how to wash dishes, even though I may use a dishwasher, but I know how to wash dishes because why? I worked in restaurants and I had to wash dishes as a job. So I learned how to wash dishes at a restaurant. Right. So I know how to take care of myself. Okay. So what it does, though, it puts you in a situation to where you're not as needy for other people because you know how to do all these things. My mother told me when I was real young, she said, I want you to learn how to do this stuff. So I don't want you to get married because you don't know how to iron your clothes. And I don't want you to get married because you don't know how to cook for yourself. Because when she grew up in the era, that's what men did. Men had to get married because they couldn't cook for themselves. They couldn't even iron and wash their own clothes. They didn't know how to do nothing but just work a job. So they had to find a wife. She's like, I don't want you to be in that situation. So I learned how to do all that stuff. Right? So the thing is now is when you start looking to get with somebody else, how do they add value to you outside of those things? Because I've met maybe one or two women that can actually outcook me, and I'm not no chef, but a lot of people can't cook. That's just a fact. They cannot cook. They don't like to cook and they're not good at it. That's why they want to eat out all the time. Right? I know how to wash all my own clothes. Right? I actually know how to I know how to iron clothes because growing up we had to do chores, and part of your chores you had to iron clothes. I know how to fold laundry because growing up as a chore, so I had so much I had to do growing up. I know how to not only make my own money, support my own self. I know how to fix stuff. Right? I'm not a mechanic, but I know how to fix basic stuff. I know how to fix basic stuff in the house, especially now with YouTube. You can look it up. You might be able to do what you might can't. I don't do no electrical work though, but I know how to fix basic stuff. So what I'm telling you is that when you've been by yourself for an extended period of time, you build out a life around that. And unlike a lot of these people, the way they driving around with bald tires on their car, or their house got a whole bunch of repairs that's needed because they don't know how to do it, but they don't have a person to help them out. I don't have none of those issues. Right? Either I'm going to get it fixed, I'm going to call somebody to fix it. People don't understand where they fit into your program. They don't, because they don't see where they come in at. Because it's not attractive to me to where every time we want to get something to eat, we got to get takeout. That don't work for me because I don't trust them people food like that. I don't trust everybody to cook for me. I don't trust everybody to cook for me. I used to work in restaurants. I watched, what's the dude's name? The chef from the UK. I watched this show. I know what people be doing in these kitchens. So when you're dealing with somebody, the question is, what do they bring into your situation if you got everything. And we always frame this on social media from the framework of the woman where, I make my own money. I got this, I got that, what I need a man for. But what I'm telling you is that as a man, I know how to do all this stuff because I was taught this by my parents. So you got to start asking yourself, the longer you go down the road and you're single, how does somebody else add value to your life? And so that's why I'm telling you, don't think you got to get all this stuff before you start looking at a woman or a man, right? Because the problem is you'll build out a life without another person and they won't figure out how they fit in it. And then what they'll be trying to get you to do is going the opposite of what you know to do. I don't believe in eating out all the time. I don't. I like to eat at home. I like home cooked food. That's how I was raised, right? So the question you want to ask is that, can you build a relationship with somebody based? Is the only way to do it is based on consuming. That's why I came out against the guy saying, well, hey, you know what? You need to, if you're dating somebody and you're serious about that woman, you need to go on 4 dates a month. I said, what's the cost around that? Nobody couldn't answer the question. See? Because his audience don't do numbers. They just do how they feel when they wake up in the morning. Right? So they don't do numbers. I do numbers. So my question is, if you're going to tell a man, well, the way you show you're serious about a woman is you got to take on 4 dates a month. Well, what those dates cost? Because we can't do park dates. Right? Men are being told you can't do park dates. You can't do coffee dates. So the dates got a dollar amount attached to them. So how does somebody support that 4 times a month at the cost? When we can go look at every city and figure out what's the median income for that city. See, everything's numbers to me. So if I'm looking at Cleveland, Ohio, median income in Cleveland, Ohio for a person on the adult is going to be $50,000 or under. So then we're going out to eat. We know what the average plate is. How do you support that 4 times a month? So you'll end up paying $3 or $4 grand a year just to date somebody. So then how do you do anything else? Because all your money is going to dating. But so you can't have these conversations because now it don't allow you to feed people rat poison. See? So then you got people trying to explain what he said. No. Let's do the numbers around. That's all we got to do. Let's do the numbers around. And if the numbers work, it'll work. But restaurant dates, movie dates, theme park dates, attraction dates, there's numbers attached to all of those. So how does it work based on? So again, so if you're a man and you're dating somebody and their attitude is, well, the only way I go on a date with you is if I like what we're doing. Because I really don't like you like that, but I just may like what we're doing. That's what you stuck with. But this is what people are being taught now. So the heck with the person and what they got going on. The heck getting to know the person, right? I'm not saying Netflix and chill. What I'm saying is that what can we do that we can get to know each other, but there's not a high dollar amount to it because why? I got to support the rest of my life. Right now, I'm looking for a house. Put you in my personal business. I'm looking for a house. So I have to watch my expenses because I don't know how much money I'm going to need. Right? My car just got hit 4 weeks ago. That costs money. But if I'm out here breaking my neck to date somebody and all this money coming out of my pocket, when sun come up, they're going to help me with that? Or I got to figure it out on my own. See how that works? So it's a numbers game, but nobody don't want to have that conversation. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. This idea to where you got to have all that, and you got to have all that, that's going to put you in a situation to where you're going to continue to extend things. You'll build your whole life without another person, and then you won't be able to figure out how to fit that person in there. And I think as time goes on, things are only going to get more and more consumer based because that's where the world is going, where your whole value is based on what you can buy and what you can purchase. Let's keep going because I want to be here too long. We talked about you build your life around what allows you to be successful. How do you fit somebody into it? I've built my life around a certain way that allows me to be successful. The question I have to ask myself is how do I fit somebody into that and it don't wreck everything I built? Now, with me being a man, you have people that are saying, hey, I want you to be you got this little term on the end of the provider and the protector. Now, nobody can tell you what that means with a number amount. You want me to provide for you. What are the numbers behind that? You'll be talking to yourself. It just sounds good to say it. You want me to provide for you. What are the numbers around it? How much money does it take per year to support you? Give me a number. Because see, at least prostitutes know how much it costs per month to take care of them. At least a prostitute, like I'm out here in the metro, a prostitute in the metro can tell me, hey, to be my sponsor, gonna take $10,000 a month. I can tell her, you know what, I ain't got it like that. So, you know, we ain't gonna be able to do it because I sure don't have 10. I don't spend 10,000 a month on me. You feel me? I don't spend that on me. So what I look like spending that on you? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? But at least the prostitute knows the number. These square chicks and some of these square prostitutes, really behind the scenes square prostitutes, they can't give you no number. They're just saying that you should be a provider. So really what they want is they want a blank check. We're going to tell the truth on the Monday. They want a blank check. But you're supposed to disregard everything else that you got going on financially. So these are one of the problems to where, because we don't really understand why we with somebody and what's the goal of the relationship, everything comes back to consumption again. What can I get out of somebody financially? That's the only reason why they exist. Because I'm not really with this person because I really like this person like that. I'm not with this person because I want to support them. It's just I want to see what I can get. So it's the same thing with dudes running behind women and just trying to see how many women they can have sex with, because they don't really believe I should be looking to find somebody I can really be with. It's just this one was a sex object. The woman just sees a man, he's just a money object. And people going to keep playing that game till they get 60. Right? Or even older, because you got 60-year-old people on these dating shows. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that we've been miseducated on the reason why somebody should be with somebody else. And let me say this, and people ain't going to like it, but we're going to tell the truth today. Nobody has done more. Nobody has done more to destroy the idea of marriage and relationships than heterosexual people. They need to leave everybody else out of it. Right? It wasn't other groups of people that created no-fault divorce. Nobody has done more to destroy the idea of marriage and relationships than heterosexual people. They need to leave everybody else out of it. So we're here because of heterosexual people and their selfish ideas around relationships. That's why they need to leave everybody else out of the situation, because they're not the reason why we're here right now today. Right? So that's the problem, is that we've allowed a lot of really selfishness to come into these spaces and dictate the reason why people are together. And it's just about what I can get out the other person. Right? So you have to ask yourself, how does this person add to what I got going on? Because they're just really here for what I can get out of them and vice versa. So they really don't add nothing to it. So now they start to become a nuisance. So you want to start really asking yourself this question. So again, as you get older and older and older, you continue to build out your life, it can be difficult to fit somebody into your life. That's why I would encourage you to start looking for people as young as possible. And I'm not one of these people where women need to be married by their 25. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is there's no reason to wait till you in your 40s and your 50s to start thinking about getting married. That's just my personal opinion. If you already have your life set up, how do you build intimacy? So that's the next question. Your whole life is already set up. How do you build intimacy? Here's why I'm asking that question. What have you and that person gone through together? Because nobody don't want to go through nothing with nobody no more. That's called struggle love, right? So I don't want to go through nothing with nobody. So they got to have their whole life set up. And I just want to just sit in there. That's kind of like, let me name a really, really good football team right now. That's like the Eagles. Okay, so that's like saying you going to the Eagles to be like a kicker. Eagles already got their whole team already laid out. All you got to do is go in there and kick the ball. The whole team set up already. That's what people is asking for these days. That's what they're asking for. The whole situation already set up. They just want to walk in. How do you build intimacy with somebody? Not sexual intimacy. Intimacy means that you and this person get close and y'all ain't been through nothing together. My question is, if you think you're in a relationship with somebody and y'all ain't been through nothing, what the relationship standing on? How you know you ain't been through nothing? How do you ain't been through nothing with this person? How you know what you and this person got? So you don't know how that person gonna react when things get bad, because why? Ain't nothing happened. Because you're under so much stress to keep everything going good. So you don't know what you got in this person. So this is the downside of feeling like I gotta have this perfect layout. I got to be the Philadelphia Eagles 2025 so I can set this person down and they ain't got to do nothing but just be there, or else I'm not a valuable person for a relationship. So I'm going to continue to wait for this person. And so a lot of people, but we talking about men, a lot of men feel like I'm not there yet to where I can be in a relationship because they feel like I got to have everything perfect. So I can't be making 70 grand a year. I got to be making 250. Right? I can't have 30,000 in the bank. I got to have $250,000 in the bank. I can't drive this car. I got to drive that car. So what it is just take more and more time. That's what's going on with a lot of people. So that's what I want to really get people to understand. How do we build intimacy with somebody if your whole life is already set up? And you need to start asking yourself that question. Let's keep going. Think about what kind of person works for your assignment. It's often not who the world is telling you should be attracted to. See, the world is telling us that we should be attracted to certain people, right? But you need to think about what kind of person works for your assignment. That's why I told my nephew, what kind of person works for where you trying to go? What you trying to do with your life? Who works for that? Because you can be attracted to somebody, but they don't work for what you're doing. And as a man, again, if you're telling a man that he need to be the provider, yada, 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 why would he destroy all of that, right, to just get along with you when that's how the money coming in? You got to ask yourself these kind of questions. So I would tell both people, based on your assignment, what kind of person works for you, because that's often not the person the world is telling us we should be attracted to. The world is telling men that they should be attracted by women just by how they look. But a lot of women look good, but they're going to be terrible for your life. They look good, though. They're good to look at. But they're going to be terrible for your life. They ain't got 3 thoughts inside their head. They can't think their way out of a wet paper bag. They might be real selfish. A lot of women might think men look good, but they might be terrible for your life. So you need to kind of ask yourself, based on your assignment, that's why I tell you need to get an assignment. What kind of person works good for you? Because I know what I'm here and I know what I'm here for, and I know the results I've been able to produce. The goal is, how can I find somebody to help me around those particular goals? Not just how they look. Because I'm in a city of good looking women. Half of them can't help me with nothing I got going on. They just looking for somebody to take them out on the weekend. They can't help me with nothing. I can't give them nothing I got going on in my business and they bring it back completed. They can't do it. They don't have the ability to do it. Let me give an example. I had to call a medical professional this morning. I don't know what was going on with them. So I wrote a note to the doctor. They called me back. We sat on the phone about 20 minutes hammering out. Now, this is during the workday. I wished my wife could do that because I don't want to do it. I want to focus on making money. I don't want to do that. But a lot of people don't have that ability to do it. You can't hand them no job and then say, hey, go handle this for me, right? They don't have the ability to do it. But they want to be taken care of, though, right? A lot of men don't have the ability to do certain things for their wife, but they want their wife to cook and clean for them. That's the problem, is that a lot of people look good, but underneath that wrapper, it ain't a lot there. Because the world has told us who we should be attracted to, not necessarily the best person for us in our assignment. And that's something we really got to think about. But when you don't have no assignment, you just doing whatever. So a lot of young people, but especially young men, they don't know what their assignment is. So they messing with anybody and everybody. So you see that basketball player that got that baby from that weirdo chick who trying to get him to catch a case by trying him when he coming to pick his kid up. Homie, you put yourself in that position. You put yourself in that position because you knew what time it was with that woman before you dealt with her. You put yourself in that position. Because you going by what the world telling you should be attracted to. Now that's something that you got to deal with. You still dealing with the same type of woman, though you still ain't learned your lesson. Right? So that's something that we really got to understand, is that the world is constantly telling us what type of person we should be attracted to. That's rarely the best person for us based on our assignment. Right? Next one, like I say, this is just my commentary. Stay away from women, men who got fetishes for phenotypical traits. Okay? I'm taller than the average person by far. Okay? I don't deal with women that just like me just because I'm tall. That's not enough. Like that, and I never was on that my whole life. Like, to me, you're a weirdo. Right? And there's a big stigma in society against, for some reason, men that's like under 6 foot tall. Like, it's the weirdest thing in the world to me. The majority of the planet is under 6 foot tall. Right? I just don't get it. But everybody's different. But I just don't get it. I don't know how my dad ever got married with this stuff out here. But I don't think it was as bad when he got married. My dad is nowhere near 6 foot tall. Right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that stay away from people that just have this fetish for phenotypical traits. You got some men that only like a woman, she got real big butt or real big breast. That's the only thing they into. Right? So then once they deal with that, what else they got? Like, there's nothing else to talk about. So you have to understand that a lot of people have these fetishes. They just really stuck on these phenotypical traits. You know, when I was coming up, it was the dudes that was light-skinned with the wavy hair. Or it was the dudes that was light-skinned with the wavy hair with the light eyes. Or it was the dudes with the light eyes. You know, these little phenotypical traits are supposed to make you attractive, but they got nothing to do with what kind of person you're dealing with. But people got fetishes for this type of stuff. Right? You got to be careful of that. I like certain type of women, but I don't have a fetish for it. Like, I'm not like, well, you're not like that. I don't want that. No, I'm not. I don't fetishize a certain phenotypical trait, even though I like certain type of phenotypical traits in women. It's not a fetish for me. For some people, it's very much a fetish. I've seen my whole life that for some people, height is a fetish for them. As long as you're tall, nothing else matters. That's just what they're into. Like, it's real weird to me because I've been tall my whole life, right? But it's just weird to me. Like, you put that importance on somebody, you can't even control that type of stuff. So I would encourage you, because you'll find out to where people really don't like you like that. They just like your phenotypical trait. They really not into you. But you're doing all this stuff to build this relationship and find out they just with you because of your phenotypes. They don't really like you like that as a person, right? Next thing. Who has the ear of the person that you're involved with? Who are they? Sorry for the typo. I should have put a question mark there. This is really important now because of the social media world. See, when I was coming up, you didn't have all this media content. So you could be dealing with somebody and you didn't have to worry about who had their ear. Now you're dealing with people, you need to know, like, who got their ear. I would tell any woman that's dating a man, you need to find out whether or not they deal with pornography. You got to find out about women too, but if you're dealing with a man, you need to find out whether or not they deal with pornography, because that can negatively impact your relationship if they watch porn, right? In my personal opinion, you cannot watch porn to be in a healthy relationship with a woman. I don't believe that. The type of stuff they got out here now, it ain't possible. This stuff is crazy, okay? But when you're dealing with somebody, you have to know who has the ear of that person. Because a lot of times you can be dealing with somebody and don't understand where some of this stuff is coming from. It's because of the people that got their ear. They listen to all kind of weird stuff. And you don't even know it, because that's not what you into. So they listen to all kind of weird stuff. Don't bring me no man that ain't work nowhere. I don't care what he do. I don't care if you're a pastor. Don't bring me a pastor that ain't work the job. I don't want to listen to it. You want to know why? He don't know my life. I'm not saying that he may not have no good stuff, but if to me, it's weird to listen to a man that ain't work. That's just weird to me, because I worked my whole life. My daddy worked. I come from working men. It's weird to me to listen to a dude that ain't work, because what he know about my life, he ain't never worked no well. Right? You're talking to a working man. I just now work digitally, but I work every day. I cut my work hours down. I was working almost 7 days a week. I cut my working down. You talking to a working man. Don't have nobody talk. I don't want to hear what some dude got to say. He ain't work no well. He don't know my life. Right? So you got to really be concerned with who has the ear of the person that you're involved with, because they'll be speaking from what they're getting from that person. And you'll be like, this is weirdo stuff. Like, this is really weird. Right? I remember everybody telling me 4 or 5 years ago that young lady who's unhinged, that she told the truth. Now they're not saying that no more, but she had their ear at one time. So you got to understand that this is something that's real big that's going on with a lot of people, where a lot of people are dealing with people who got all kind of weird messages, and they'll bring that back to you because they got their ear. To me, that's really important, is know who has the ear, right? Don't let people who only benefit from you being alone impact how you see relationships. So we talked about all these people right here, right? All these people. A lot of these people only benefit from you being by yourself, okay? All these people, a lot of these people only benefit from you being by yourself, right? Because I talk to married people all the time. They don't know who half these folks is, okay? So you have to realize that they've built an audience around single people, and they only want those single people to stay single so they can keep their audience and keep their lifestyle. See what I'm saying? That's a problem to me. So I'm not a fan of you bringing me information from somebody, and the only way they can make money in this world is if people stay by themselves. I don't really want to hear what they got to say, because they don't make money by putting people together. Right? I don't have a business model to where I need people to be broke, disgusted, and busted for me to make some money off of them. That's not my business model. So that's what I want people to really look at. Like, ask yourself, I know you people may like the information and it may be entertaining, and yeah, but does this person only benefit for you being by yourself? If everybody in their audience was married and living their life, how would they make $3? Because I've taught a lot of married people. I don't need you to be single for me to teach you. Right? I've taught a lot of married people. In fact, it's been a lot of married women that have given me good game about how to improve what I got going on. Right? I've taught her, I don't need you to be single with nothing going on or single and mad at the opposite sex for me to make money from you. I don't need you to do that. So that's something people got to be wary of, because again, you have people to where part of who they're being informed by is somebody that only makes money if you by yourself. So if their whole audience got with somebody, they couldn't make $3. They got to go find them a job, which they don't want to do. So these are questions you got to ask yourself. It's not just about I like what they're saying. Another one, people who are active tricks in their youth have created relationship verticals online. Study who in your circle is influenced by them. They can fool y'all. These people can't fool me. A lot of these people was active tricks in their youth. They was tricks. Then they create relationship verticals telling you they know everything about men. No, but you was a trick. So all you got is trick game. Right? That sound like game to people that ain't never heard no game before. That don't sound like game to me. It sound like trick game. I'm from a city that got a real blade in the city. I wasn't raised too far off that blade. I grew up watching real PNH growing up in my city, because I'm from a city with a real blade before the internet. We ain't need no back page to get it popping where I'm from. So you got a lot of dudes, man, they was active tricks in their youth, and now they created relationship verticals on the internet. And I got people I'm dealing with, and they trying to, dude is a dude. I don't want to hear that. That's trick game. I don't want to hear that. What they got to do with what I'm trying to do? So that's what I want you to understand, is that you got to really study who you in your circles influenced by these folks, because you got all kind of people on the internet doing all kind of stuff, right? And they'll influence people, and they come back to you with the information. I'm like, no, I'm not with that. I don't agree with that perspective, because that's a trick perspective, and he's trying to put that on all men. No, that was dual perspective, because he was an active trick when he was a young person, right? So that's what you have to understand. You got a lot of tricks, man, that settled down and got married because they couldn't trick the way they wanted to trick, and now they built relationship verticals, right? And you got people taking what they're saying because I know what men do. No, you know what tricks do. You don't know what men do. You know what tricks do, because you were tricked. You was in the population of tricks. You don't know what men do. You know what tricks do. You was in the population of tricks, but you don't want to come from that perspective and say, hey, I'm finna get up here and give y'all trick game, right? Because you don't want to out yourself. So they put all kind of labels on it. I was a womanizer. No, you was a trick. On Larry, you was a trick. That's the thing. So these are kind of things you got to watch out for, right? Them two dudes in Miami, that's trick game. Built a real big platform, made a lot of money. That's two tricks, right? It's almost next to impossible in closing for one person to outcompete two people or a group of people. Next to impossible. I'm one person. Two people half as smart as me will outcompete me. That's a fact. So I got to be smarter than two people because I'm one person, because I'm single. Don't be like me. Don't be in my position. Being single puts you at a massive disadvantage, because you're competing for resources for your children. You're competing for educational opportunities. You're competing for a lot of things, and you're doing it all by yourself. So here's the thing. I had to take away from making money to make a phone call to deal with this situation with this medical people, right? Somebody that got a team don't have to do that. One person can handle this, other person stay focused on the money. Or if somebody gets sick, one person can still keep bringing money and the other person get their health back. I'm by myself. If I get sick, the money just stop. Go out because I'm sick. So don't believe these lies about, I'm single. That's cool, but you're at a disadvantage to people that are not single. That's just the life that we live in. And we're in a world that's dominated by groups. That's just the reality. So being single, so the high performing single people I know, like they can't stop. They have to keep going and keep going and keep going. Because why? You can't hand it off to nobody else. You can't tag team the situation. You just got to keep going. That's the downside of being single. It ain't this massive benefit to being single. Like, it's not. That's falsehood. That's YouTube. I'm telling you, as a single person, been single for a very long time, there's a lot that you got to constantly carry because you by yourself, and you got to carry it by yourself. And this internet and this social media has met people do not know how to partner with nobody no more. They think the role of another person is just to make them happy all the time. My question is, was you ever happy before you met me? Right? I didn't know I was supposed to be like an entertainer or a clown. Like, I didn't know that was my job. I didn't know that. Right? So that's what you want to understand. But you are at a disadvantage you're at a disadvantage as a single person to two people or a group of people. You're at a massive disadvantage, and you got to really understand that, especially if you got children. Right? You have to understand that. And as more and more time goes on, you're going to start to see that disadvantage get more and more pronounced. Right? As more and more time goes on. So take it how you take it. You know, it is what it is, but I'm trying to tell you how this world really works, right? The real world, not this internet stuff. And especially if you are trying to move in certain corporate sectors, it's next to impossible as a single person, especially as a single man. They don't trust you. They won't let you in on certain deals. That's just how it works. So you got to build out your own ecosystem by yourself just because you're single. Where if you were married, you could do it easier, right? Because they doing couple stuff. See what I'm saying? That's how this world works. You know, you can't get a certain political position unless you marry. I mean, we had a guy become governor of the state of Florida. He was single, but that was a stretch. Most of the governors of the state of Florida was married. That's just how this works. So certain doors are going to be shut to you because you're single. That's why they just on the internet running their mouth. They're not actually doing stuff in the real world because certain doors been closed to them because they're single people, especially single men. Because they'll let a single woman in because why? They want to get next to that woman, even if they married. But they're not as likely or not as open to let a single man in, right? Because they want you to already have a woman with you. That's just how this stuff works most of the time. So I'm not into these 50 and 60-year-old men talking about free agents. I'm not into none of that stuff. They need to tell these young dudes to get married because most young dudes going to have to work a 9 to 5 and they're going to need a wife to help them move up that corporate ladder. That's just how this stuff works, right? So we're going to read these comments, man. We're going to get up on out of here because I got to get me something to eat. Because like I say, I got to cook. Raygun, man, appreciate the $2 super chat. Pascal, man, appreciate you for being a member. Appreciate the $19.99 super chat. Miss Tamara Glamour, women need more life skills and beauty. Most definitely, Miss Terry K. Glamour. Ain't nothing wrong with a good-looking woman, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. I like a pretty woman. Like, that's just, you know, I really do. But that doesn't help me all the time, just the fact that a woman is pretty, right? I need a little bit more than that to pull off what I'm trying to pull off, right? And I like good-looking women. So, you know, I'm going to tell you straight up, I like pretty women. I like how women look, the whole 9 yards. But I need a little bit more than that. And a lot of women, especially in this era that we're in now, they so focused on how they look, they haven't added anything else to their, I would say, their repertoire, to where once we get past how they look, there ain't nothing else to them. And I think that's very unfortunate, you know, but it is what it is. And like I said, you're talking to somebody that likes good looking women, but I need more than that, especially the way I'm moving now. I need a little bit more. So let's read some of these comments. We're going to get up on out of here. Ross gonna say, get somebody to build with you from the ground up. Yeah, but I mean, you know, you got to be fortunate in that area. What's going on to Dr. Chaz? Hubby got a truck with one key, spent 6 hours getting the second key. Yeah, all right. I got to go back down there now and try to get it programmed, which I don't want to do because it's going to take all day, especially dealing with these dealerships. But it is what it is. Yeah, it was Gordon Ramsay. I watch his show a lot. So you just kind of see how restaurants just be tripping. Essence say, I saw a woman sneeze and continue to make a pizza. We left right then. Yeah, they do all kind of stuff in restaurants. Like they really do. You know. They just really do. You got to ask yourself, Ms. Buckingham, as the cost of everything is going up, how come these restaurants' food getting cheaper? Like this don't make no sense, but everything else going up. Miss Alexander says, I know why I need a man the past week, and the security officer thought he was going to continue to talk to ladies any old kind of way. I feel you. 4 dates a month, that's every week numbers. Yeah. But you know, Miss Alexander, they got to do what they got to do to make those women feel like the guy that you dating is not up to par so they can keep coming back for the content. Right? Because 4 dates a month is expensive. Like it just is. Like it's expensive. Like unless we finna go get like an ice cream, like that's different. But these people want dinner and a movie 4 times a week. Like they think that's what they want. Like that's expensive. We talking about like $200 a week. I feel you, Ray Gunn, but that's how they're programming these people. They're programming, and people are being programmed in these audiences that the man is only interested in you if he does these things every month. He got to be bringing you food in the middle of the day, all kind of stuff. Like, when the dude gonna go to work? So he got to be working, making all this money, taking a person out on 4 dates every month, stopping in the middle of the day to come bring the woman food. Like, this is what he's supposed to, but they're being programmed by these people that means he's really interested in you. I'm like, when he gonna work? Right? I've had jobs where you couldn't even talk on the phone while you was working. They'll write you up. It's a cold game out here, man. People doing to keep that money coming in. So J-Way says, what's up to J-Way? I had a 4-year period where I was celibate and decided not to date till I got my life together. The right woman found me along the way. I had a relationship with a woman that helped me build. Big up to you, man. I'm happy that worked out for you, bro. Especially because you're a younger man. I'm glad for you, bro. I really am. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can start putting a foundation up under you and keep it pushing. I don't never tell young dudes, I don't never talk about relationships with young folks. I refuse to do it because I know it gives you an advantage. Because a lot of liberal, I would say, attitudes around relationships, because a lot of those people thought that families was negative and patriarchal and all this other weird stuff. It's hurt a lot of people in this world. So now I don't never tell young people to turn their back. Get a relationship, get with somebody and build it. Right? I would always encourage people. It's the easiest way to do it. Terry K. Lemon says, Ray Kroc sold McDonald's franchise to couples. I feel you. Real life. Pascal says certain military jobs and units will not allow single men because they see it as a potential turncoat. Definitely. Yes, certain in the corporate space, they just won't allow you. That's something that Kevin Samuels was 100% correct on. If you want to move up in certain corporate spaces, you got to be married. It's just how it is, right? They won't even do business with you. And then also, if you're looking to do international business, you also got to be married. They just won't do business with you. Like, they don't trust you. Miss Alexander says we have 1 week in a month we don't date. We both have our household task list. I feel you. And Miss Alexander, I'm not against people doing it if they can afford it. But my question is, how do we put numbers to it? Because everybody can't afford it, you know? And then a date is relative to that particular couple. But their attitude to where it got to be like, I live in a city where like everything's expensive to do. That's just what it is in the city that I live in. So like, Top Golf to me is overpriced. Like everything in the city that I'm in, as far as date wise, it's just expensive, and so they price it to be expensive. Me and this person went to brunch on a networking situation. Like, it was $70 just for brunch. So if I do that 7 times 4, that's $280. That don't include anything else. We multiply that by 12, like that's a few thousand just on dates. So it's a lot that goes into it. But people got to do what work for them. But I like to put numbers and stuff. Miss Essence says a lot of people sexually attracted to this man. That's why they listen. I feel you. Do banks look at married people differently? They may. I don't know. I'm not married, right? But it depends on maybe what you're going to the bank for. Miss Alexander says, we track our spending on dates of half a year. I should have put together my slides. I feel you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, people got to know what kind of money coming in and out their household, but we just in a different era, Miss Alexander, to where people just want to throw all that to the wind, but they want somebody to be making it, but we don't want to keep track of nothing. But they sure want somebody to make it. My question, I ask people, what happened when there ain't no more money there? Now, how you going to act? But it is what it is. 200 minimum a date out here. I feel you. Pascal says, married and have good credits with many of these corporate executive positions and board members for schools or organizations require, so you appear less susceptible to bribery. I agree with you. They want to have it to where you're invested in something and you could lose something if you go wrong, right? So that's just what it is. That's the world we live in. So even I'm at a disadvantage in certain situations. It don't matter what I do business-wise. It don't matter what kind of numbers I put up. That's just how it goes. Miss Terry K. Lemon says you get more credit when you're married and own a home. I feel you. 200 a day. Yeah, Miss Al, it's expensive out here in this market, Miss Alexander. It's high. And you know, Miss Alexander, people want you to send them like Uber Blacks to come pick them up. They want flowers in the Uber Black. Like, it's just people's expectations is crazy. Like, it's just the world we live in now. They want to, you got to send an Uber Black. You need flowers in the Uber Black. They want to have you put them in the fly hotel room. That's, you know, $200 a night, you know, and all kind of stuff. That's what they expect. Oh, you ain't showing them no intent. Like, it's just crazy out here. You know, so, you know, you're supposed to be daddy Warbucks on the low. Everybody don't have it like that. And if they do, my question is, because this is something I did learn from you, Miss Alexander, that I carry to this day. If I'm dealing with a person and they're not concerned with my financial situation, they don't care about me. Right? And it can't be like they acting like they care. So that's something that really stuck with me, is that, you know, when you kind of explain that, and that's something I realized, is that a lot of people, man, they'll have you go broke. They'll move on to the next person. They don't care because they just having fun, or they waiting till something go wrong so they can jump off the boat. And what's going to go wrong is you ain't got it no more. Because one day I'm going to tell you the story about I was engaged to this chick. People like, how come Dave ain't married? But I was engaged to this chick. I ain't finna get into it because I got to go get me something to eat. Chick told me she wanted me to spend $40,000 on the wedding. I say, I'm not spending $40,000 on the wedding. That was the end of the relationship. Because I say, you got me messed up. I don't know what you take me for. I don't know what you think this is. But there is no way in the world I'm spending $40,000 on the wedding. That ain't going to happen. That will not happen. So we weren't going to get married. But everything was good as long as I was coming out the pocket. And so she thought I was going to just keep cutting. She hit a hard wall. We ain't doing that. That's what's not going to happen. I ain't doing it. It made no sense to do that in Florida. Florida, we get married on the beach for $10,000. What I need to spend that kind of money for? See what I'm saying? So a lot of people, Miss Alexander, in my experience, is they with a situation as long as they getting what they want, and the moment it turned different, they ain't into it no more. And that's just the world we live in. Males and females doing that. You got a lot of men to deal with a woman until she stop having sex with them, and then they're going to go do something else. You got a lot of women where they with the situation as long as the dude breaking bread to entertain them, they can have fun, they with it. Once he stop doing that or don't do it at the level that they want to do it at with, they done with the relationship. It's just wild out here. That's why everybody that's married, big up to you, God bless your marriage, especially people that got married a long time ago, they got that cheat code. They got that cheat code. Dr. Chaz says, I'm glad I'm married. We dated Bill differently. Big up to you, Dr. Chaz. Keep doing what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing what y'all doing. Y'all got the cheat code. I'm telling you, you do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stick together, keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about what these people got saying out here. These people out here, they ain't got no going for themselves. They want everybody to be just bad off as them. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a wedding to get married. You don't, but some people want one. I'm not against it. I'm just against paying $40,000 for one. That wasn't gonna happen. Because as a man, you expected to put money on an engagement ring, cost thousands. A wedding band costs thousands. And really the man ain't supposed to pay for the wedding. Really the woman is. But you know, they want to be traditional till it come out of their pocket. Then they're not traditional no more. That's the world we in now. Everything's so traditional until I got to pay. So now the man's supposed to pay for the wedding, but yeah, you want to get $40,000 out of me. That wasn't gonna happen. I would spend $40,000 on a car that I can drive more than one day. What else like spending $40,000 on one day? So here's the thing I had to realize. If you notice, Shorty didn't come at me and say, let's save on a wedding and go get us a property, or let's save on a wedding and invest. But this was years ago. I didn't know what I know now. See? So I'm looking for the women that's talking about, hey, let's take their bread and put this money somewhere we get a return on some money. Not let's spend all the money on one day, but that's what people do. I know somebody I'm real cool with. They spent $30,000 on their wedding. Yeah, it wouldn't be me. I can't do it. You spend that kind of money on no wedding. So, you know, until God find the right woman for me, man, I'm going to be single because I'm not breaking bread like that. On top of everything else that I already bought that I can't get back, man, please. I can't do it. It's too many investments out here. Miss Alexander says, I'm finna lose my YouTube person. I think I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, I feel, but see, Dr. Chad, how you know you got a real one though. And I read your story. I ain't trying to put all your business in the street. But that's how you know you got a real one. That's what I'm saying, though, Dr. Chaz. And I'm not saying you didn't know that before that happened, but I'm just saying, to me, a relationship is we've been through stuff. We came out on the other side. And I don't mean like somebody cheated and nothing like that, like real life stuff. And we came out on the other side. So now we know what we got. That's what I'm looking for. But everybody different. But I feel you. And I'm not saying you didn't know that before that happened. I ain't trying to put words in your mouth. But I'm saying that's how you know. So I big up to y'all. Yeah, it's supposed to be the women's family. But like I say, Miss Buckingham, everybody traditional to the time for money to come out their pocket. Right? Or time for effort to come out of them. They're not traditional anymore. You know how that go. Yeah, it was crazy. And this was a long time ago. So 40K was more money than what it currently is now. But I didn't ask. That was my fault. See? I realize now with Orlando Body Sculpting, you got to ask women what kind of wedding they want. Because some of these women want, you know, they want the wedding that's going to stop the world. And I'm not tripping on that. So you got to ask women now what kind of wedding they want. Dr. Chaz say SPY pay for the wedding and honeymoon on that. I feel you. Hit up with Dr. Chaz trading that SPY. That's how you got to get it. Get your money out the market. I'm with you on that one. And the honeymoon. So that's another thing, Dr. Chaz. I would have been expected to pay for the honeymoon too. And I'm already out 40,000. Yeah. So God did what he needed to do. He showed me what time it was. Because that would have never stopped if I would have said yes to it. Our people gave us nice money to have a wedding. I picked up. I feel you. I feel you. No Face Rapper says, my wife and I got married in her dad's backyard. We celebrated 9 years. Big up to y'all, man. Y'all did it the right way. Like I say, bro, in Florida, you can get married on the beach. You know what I'm saying? Because Florida pretty much got year-round weddings because it's hot all the time. So it'll cost you like $10,000. Like my cousin got married in St. Augustine. You know what I'm saying? Probably cost him like $15,000. But 40 grand on one day? Yeah, I can't do it. So God did what he needed to do. He understood what time it was. He knew exactly what was going on. So he allowed me to see what shorty really was on. So I was like, yeah, I can't do it. 40K is a nice pre-owned Toyota Tacoma 4x4. Yeah, it's also a down payment on the house. You know what I'm saying? That's a nice down payment on the crib, especially back then. That'd have been a big down payment. So yeah, God, like I said, God did what he needed to do. So we're going to get up on out of here, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. Everybody stay safe. Stay encouraged. And don't let people tell you that being by yourself is this prop, yada, yada. If it worked for them, it worked for them. But what I'm telling you is that it really, to me, you're going to have the best scenario if you get with somebody else, y'all team up like Wade and LeBron, y'all put something together, and y'all go out here and handle your business. Right? Because that's what I come from. So the reason why I'm here is because people came together. I don't come out of a single situation. I'm not down in it. That's just not what I come from. And it allows you to have a lot more competition because, again, you're competing against groups of people. So if you all by yourself, you don't have the leverage, you don't have the safety, you don't have the security blanket, because something that Dr. Chaz talked about is something happens to you where you're not able, you ain't got nobody to hold you down. You just by yourself. Right? Stay out of the trick world. It's not going to work out for you. You have whole verticals based around getting you to get involved in trick and making you think that's how you can prove yourself as a man or sometimes even as a woman. It's just about getting money out of your pockets. And these what did I call them? These people who was active tricks back in the day. Yeah, really ask yourself what they're giving you besides trick game. But their perception of the game is different. My perception of the game is different than somebody else. But yeah, I just can't sit up and listen to a bunch of people that was active tricks back in the day. You know, to me, because you had sex with a whole bunch of women, that don't really add no value to me. Don't make you no authority on nothing to me either. It just don't. Like, I just don't come from that type of setup. Right? You know, we had dudes when I was growing up, they dealt with a whole bunch of women. That's their thing. But you didn't get no stripes in my neighborhood because you had a whole bunch of women. You had to go do stuff to get stripes. That's just how I came up. You had to go do things. Having, you know, how many women gave you access to their vagina? That wasn't no stripes where I'm from. You had to go actually go do something to get a stripe. So everybody come from a different type of scenario. But big up to them dudes that's, you know, They Mr. Romeo, Mr. Lover, big up to them, man. They do their thing. You know what I'm saying? But I came up, it was always the West Indian cats trying to do that. I didn't know a lot of American dudes that really was on it like that. But everybody different. Y'all stay safe, man. Stay encouraged, man. Talk to y'all later.